In the beginning of the book, it says that Job was the greatest of all the people of the East. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. And he had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and a very large household with many workers, so that he was greater than anyone in the East. And he was a righteous man who feared God and hated what was evil, in a place called Uz, a land of peace. A storm was waiting. In the courts of heaven, a challenge was made. This is the story of Job, a man blameless, upright, and tested like no other. But his children were wicked, and they went out and did wicked things. But Job for some reason thought his children might be up to no good. So Job would send for them and sanctify them, rising early and offering sacrifices for every one of them. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did this habitually. But God knew what his children were doing, and this greatly upset God. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you been?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Roaming the earth and patrolling it." And then God said to Satan, "Hey, what do you think about Job?" And Satan said, "What?" "He prays to you only because you have blessed him and his family with many good things. But if you take those good things away, I bet he will curse you." And God said, "Okay, let's do it. All that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on him." And Satan said, "I'll do whatever you want." So basically, God made a bet with Satan about Job. One day, while his sons and daughters were up to no good, slacking off, eating, and drinking wine in the house of their eldest brother, Satan started to wreak havoc. While Job's sons and daughters are ignoring their duties, the oxen, camels, and donkeys were stolen. Servants were put to the sword and killed. God's fire has fallen from heaven and struck the sheep. And worst of all, while his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine, a great wind came from across the desert and smashed the 4 corners of the house. Job came running out of his house and saw everything destroyed, and he was like, "Whoa, what happened?" Then Job arose and tore his cloak and cut off his hair, fell to the ground and worshipped. And Job said, "Naked I came forth from my mother's womb, and naked shall I go back there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." He didn't even look down on God because he knew God was good and would never abandon him. In all this, Job did not sin, nor did he charge God with wrong. After some time, God meets with Satan again. God says to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil. He still holds fast to his innocence, although you incited me against him to ruin him for nothing." Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin. All that a man has he will give for his life. But put forth your hand and touch his bone and his flesh. Then surely he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to the Satan, "He is in your power. Only spare his life." So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with severe boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still holding to your innocence? Curse God and die." But Job said to her, "You speak as foolish women do. We accept good things from God. Should we not accept evil?" Through all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Then 3 of his friends showed up. They saw what happened to him and said, "Wow, what happened to you?" And Job told them the whole story. And they sat there for 7 days and 7 nights and didn't speak a word. But after that, one of them finally spoke up and said, "Hey, remember that God loved you, but now he hates you. That's why he did this to you. You must have done something really bad in your life for God to be mad at you like that. Otherwise, why would he do that to you? And also, why are you still alive? You should just die already." Job was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't deserve this. I've always feared God and hated what was evil, so I don't know what you're talking about." And his friends were like, "You better pray to God and beg him for forgiveness for what you did in your life. Well, maybe if you do that, he might bless you again." So Job prayed and talked to God. They had quite the conversation. By the end of the conversation, Job realizes that God does love him. And after the Lord had spoken to Job, the Lord said to Job's friend Eliphaz the Temanite, "My anger blazes against you and your 2 friends. You have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams. Go to my servant Job, and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves, and let my servant Job pray for you." To him I will show favor, and not punish your folly, for you have not spoken rightly concerning me, as has my servant Job. Then Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did as the Lord had commanded them. The Lord showed favor to Job. The Lord also restored the prosperity of Job, after he had prayed for his friends. The Lord even gave to Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers and sisters came to him, and all his former acquaintances, and they dined with him in his house. They consoled and comforted him for all the evil the Lord had brought upon him. And each one gave him a piece of money asterisk and a gold ring. Thus the Lord blessed the later days of Job more than his earlier ones. Now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-donkeys. Job and his wife had 7 more sons and 3 more daughters. The first daughter he called Jemimah, the second Keziah, and the third Hapush. In all the land no other women were as beautiful as the daughters of Job. Their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years. And he saw his children, his grandchildren, and even his great-grandchildren. Then Job died, old and full of years. I hope you enjoyed how we presented the story of Job. At Unfavored Merit, we want to bring the good news to as many people as possible. Look for our next video coming soon. Please like and subscribe to our videos. Please visit our merch stores. The links are below in the description. Thanks again for joining us.